Today we have George. How do you pronounce your last name?
Mikhael.
Mikhael.
Right.
George Mikhael here. I'm really excited to have you on. So let's start off with, like, for the people that don't know, right? Like, who are you? How'd you even get into real estate? Why real estate? It's hard. It's not an easy industry to get into. So
sure.
like, talk to me.
Yeah. So my name is George. So I feel like long time ago, for some odd reason, I've had this passion for real estate. It's just, it was hidden. I didn't know I had that passion. And then even in high school, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, or what college I wanted to go to, what career I wanted to, or what major I wanted to be in. So it's a funny story because in high school, I thought I wanted to become a pharmacist. I thought, healthcare industry, at a young age, I've always wanted to make money. I wanted to be comfortable. So I was like, you know what, maybe pharmacist, I don't have to go to med school. I don't have to study a lot. And then I figured pharmacy would be the easy way out to being some type of doctor and getting that nice paycheck without going to, years and years of med school.
Yeah.
And then I took one accounting course. It was an elective that they were enrolling in high school. And then we had a stock market challenge and I won. It was me and my team. And then ever since then, I developed that passion towards problem solving. Give me a challenge and let me figure it out. And then one thing led to the other. I majored in finance. I worked for Fortune 500 companies. I was very fortunate. I worked for Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, great financial institutions. And then in a way or another, within those careers, I was dealing with some type of real estate. And if I wasn't dealing with real estate, whether it's trading or clients that were, investing in REITs, real estate investment trusts, the wealthier clients had a business or something to do within the real estate industry. So I was like, you know what? That it pinpoints. So to become successful or wealthy, for me at that time, I was like, I need to get into real estate. I just didn't know how. It was so vague. The industry is so big. How do you break through that barrier? And I don't come from money. My parents are not wealthy. I don't come from a background of entrepreneurial.
Where are you from?
Originally from Egypt.
Egypt? No way.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And then I was there in 2016. My sister got married. I was
In
there for
Egypt?
5. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And then it was a great experience. I wish I was there for a little bit longer. I got sick the first couple of days, but managed to go through it.
That's rough.
Yeah. And then I came back, and then I started being in the industry, and then COVID hit. And then right before COVID hit, I knew I wanted to open up a business. What type? I had no idea. So one of my buddies and I, we got into the franchising business. We opened up a burger store right in the heart of Jersey City, Journal Square. It's like the hustle and bustle. It's like the New York City of New Jersey, essentially. It's right across the street from the PATH train station. It was a great location. And then right as we were wrapping up construction, COVID slams us really hard. So we had to make a decision. Hey, do we pull the trigger now or do we keep going through? Again, my entire life, I was building for that moment. We pulled the trigger in terms of we're going to go through. We didn't, pull the plug on that one. And then it was very successful. And then we had some challenges. We were in the business for almost 2 years. During COVID, we survived. And then for some difficulties, we ended up shutting down the business. And then I moved on to other things. I got into the real estate. And then we got into real estate business in terms of like fix and flipping and gathering other people's money. And I was doing an unofficial fund. So mini syndications. I'm like, hey, buddy, do this, that, family members, close friends. I gathered other people's money, and then we started to do the fix and flip, purchasing properties. And then one thing led to the other. And then here I am.
So
I know that's a long story.
no, that was good. I do. Just give me 1 second because I'm here by myself. Everybody else went home.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to grab my notebook real quick because I do want to take notes on what you're saying. Here it is. And then also I just wanted to check the audio levels. Can you just say mic check real quick?
Yeah, mic check, test, 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. And then can you do me a favor and just tap this microphone?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay. And then this one. Yeah, sorry. I usually have like my people helping me. With
Yeah.
this, but it's just me today. So. Okay. Perfect. So. A lot of stuff.
A lot of
stuff. Okay.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what we need. That's what we came here for, right? Like, that's what we want to know is because, like, not everything's all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Absolutely.
Like when people talk about it, yeah, it sounds fantastic, right? And then when you do it, you're like, oh, they didn't say this pile of mountain of stuff is like in my way to actually do what they were doing that looks so easily in the first place. So I would like, because I'm very interested in the what you were saying, like you would syndicate, you would start flipping, fixing and flipping. Where did that, like, were you managing those projects?
So one time, one person told me that if you're gonna wait for the perfect moment, you'll never start. Sometimes you have to jump right in and figure it out along the way. And that's what I was doing. So before we got into this whole real estate investing business, we tried to figure it out on our own because I didn't want to risk other people's money. So when we kind of figured out the like a framework, we're like, okay, maybe now we can start raising capital and bring other investors on these deals.
So with this framework, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but you were actually running through fix and flips,
Yes.
building the
Trial and errors.
just using your own resources.
Correct.
You and it was
And it
just
was
you and
tough.
you and a partner. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So like, how did you like? Did you guys seek like coaching help, or was it just like, you know what, I'll figure it out?
So coaching, to get legitimate coaching, you have to pay. So we had very limited capital. So we had to go to coaches, and certain individuals, when they try to give you some type of advice, especially if it's free, it's oftentimes very vague. Oh, how do you make money? Buy something low, sell it high.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. How does that apply to
Like
the
give me the
real world?
meat, give me the source. Give me some type of core. So we had to figure that out, and then eventually along the way, we partner up with other investors, people that were in the business, younger individuals too that had the same passion and hustle, and they were just giving advice, free advice left and right to just help out. And I feel like real estate specifically is that industry where it's a very small knit family and community where
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there we just kind of
I want to live. I want to live in that moment a little bit longer. So okay, boom. You're with your buddy. It's your buddy, right?
Yeah.
That's, okay, so you're with your buddy. You're like, yo, okay, so we got to start fixing flips. Like, let's just buy one low and try to figure it out. What does that look like? Like, what problems arose that you just didn't expect? Like, can you walk me through your first flips?
So we thought the hardest job would be figuring out how to do everything the right way in terms of permits, construction, the inspection, the whole process. But because we had built a store, so backtrack a little bit. So that store is really what helped us get that backbone to get into the real estate industry. So we were able to manage the contractors, the subs. My buddy had some type of a construction background too. So seeing or shadowing the general contractor, going into the township, getting the permits, passing the inspection, that kind of gave us some type of leverage. And we took that and we just applied it into the same field of just real estate.
So even before you even doing flips, you were already in the mind frame of like, hey, look, these guys are doing. We should be shadowing. We should be like absorbing as much information as possible.
Sure.
That's interesting.
And then going back to what I had said earlier, where you kind of have to figure it out along the way. We open up a burger joint franchise, not knowing a single thing about the food industry.
Why?
My first job ever was not in the food industry. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew this is what I needed to do to get me to my end goal. And it's all about steps. You're taking one step at a time, and I feel like those steps are gonna eventually lead you to the end goal. And I feel like a lot of people are they think steps, it has to be on an upward, like one thing that leads to the other, and you're going up. For me personally, what I think is it's a little bit more volatile. So you got to go through the steps. It's ups and downs, but eventually, if you zoom out, if you look at the macro picture, it's on an upward trend. But a lot of those steps are actually going down. And those downward steps are eventually where you're going to get to learn the most amount of knowledge that helps you get that leap or that stepping stone to the next step.
Ideally, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the hope is like we learn from our mistakes, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So like what were this like can you just walk me through some of the mistakes that you actually found when it came to flipping? Like exactly?
Yeah. What the market wanted. The biggest mistake we thought we wanted to do when you're getting something and you see there's potential in that specific property, you try to fix it and make it as nice as possible, thinking you're gonna live there.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, I love these recessed spotlights. And if you're in Newark, really recessed spotlights, the fancier ones, you don't need to put it in there. Or if you're in Trenton or Camden. So we needed to learn the type of market that we're in and what type of finishes you're going to put in the product or the property.
And that just comes from like scoping out what everybody else is doing in the area.
And we had to remove that emotional factor out of it. Now, believe it or not, you kind of have to add that little bit of an emotional factor into it, depending on the market. So if you're in like Bergen County, for example, so your clientele are a little bit more of an affluent client. Okay, so you got to make sure you put the higher end finishes, the nicer touches. You got to make sure all the details are very nice and smooth, as opposed to if you're flipping something in all the way down in completely South Jersey.
And then, so now, okay, you guys are doing the flips. You guys kind of like, how long did it take you to really get like a grasp on fix and flips? And then until you guys were like, oh, we can do this in our sleep.
2 or 3.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of figured it out. Or 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 flips?
2 3 flips.
How long was that?
That was about just over a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you guys still do that, or did you just
So I'm out of the fix and flipping game. If there's a good opportunity, we'll jump right on it. Only because I feel like everyone right now is in the real estate industry, and everyone wants to do the same thing within the same market. So getting the right deal is our biggest challenge, but there are some deals out there. But sometimes you have to say no to 100 deals until you get that one right deal that makes sense.
Yeah. How do you differentiate yourself if everyone's wanting to do the same thing in the same place at the same time?
Yeah.
How do you find this is my niche, this is where I'm going to live right now?
So one thing we're looking to explore is adding an additional level to specific properties. So you're getting a Cape Cod, and then we want to be able to add another floor, expanding it and adding more square footage, more bathrooms, more bedrooms. And I feel like a lot of people at first, they were doing a lot of fix and flips, just taking the same exact property and then just redoing it. They're not adding anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just doing a bunch of cosmetic repairs. Now I feel like certain people and eventually the shift will be in this market is the adding that additional level or the expansion, because that's the way you're going to be able to differentiate yourself. And that doesn't, and I feel like if you're an entry level investor, that's going to be much harder for you to get into. So it's good to start off either as a wholesaler, get some capital, or doing light rehab when you're doing the fix and flip. And as you're gaining those experiences and you're building up your reserves and your capital, then you can move to level 2, which would be the adding a level or more of the expansion of the specific property.
Okay. And is that what you're focusing on right now?
Right now, I'm really focusing on being a good realtor.
What does that mean?
Being a good real estate agent. So when we were investing in real estate, we were in touch with a lot of realtors, and there was a lot of deal flow coming our way. But just because you're getting a lot of deal flow doesn't necessarily mean it was good deal flow. It wasn't ideally what we were looking for. And then the people that we were communicating with may have gotten you a good deal to them, but to you, it wasn't a good deal. So no one really took the time out of their busy schedule to understand what we're really looking for. They call it a buy box. Like, what are you looking for? And let me go out there and get it for you. Like, your deal must have what? Doing this?
Huh? There's like wholesalers hitting you up and like
wholesalers, retailers, and realtors, and then certain realtors out there too is just trying to get the deal closed. So if you ask them about any type of rehab costs, do you know anyone in the township, the inspection, how long of a rehab this might take, they weren't really knowledgeable, or the investor savvy knowledge wasn't really there for them. And then me coming with my financial background, I pulled the trigger in terms, hey, let me be a realtor and let me focus in helping investors as well. With my financial background, the investing, and my passion towards real estate, that's how I'm going to be able to differentiate myself. I think there's like 9,000 realtors in the state of New Jersey or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, right? So you, and just correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure I articulate this properly. But it sounds like you were faced with a problem, right? You were like, hey guys, we need good deals. We're getting a lot of deals, but they're not good quality deals. They might be good for the person giving us the deals, but they're not good for us. And so I'm sure you saw that as like a problem, right?
Of course.
And instead of trying to to figure out how to get better deals more frequently, you were like, no, I'm going to do it myself.
Right.
I'm going to be the realtor finding all the good deals.
Yep.
That's so interesting.
Time to roll up your sleeves, get down and dirty.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. I love that mentality, right? It's like if you want something done right, you do it yourself.
There you go.
And so now that like you've learned, this approach, do you find that it's helped you get better deals more frequently?
I wouldn't say better deals, but it helped me build a relationship that eventually will get me those better deals. And they say 90% of millionaires accumulated their wealth through real estate. And so it eventually becomes of a long-term play. And I feel like being a flipper or an investor in real estate or even a realtor, it's all about a long-term play. So as the time go along, you're meeting new people, you're networking, you're connecting with certain individuals, developers, other realtors that are straight A's in the business, other wholesalers, and then through that relationship, you're able to build that network. If and when there's a good opportunity, they're going to reach out to you, or you're going to be that person on top of their mind. Hey, let me reach out to George. Maybe this deal is going to fit his buy box.
So what's like your dream? Like in 20 years, like what do you want?
If you would have asked me that pre-COVID, probably would tell you retired, sipping on a margarita somewhere down the Caribbean.
Dude, you're young. How old are you, bro?
I turned 30 in
Dude,
October. So I'm going to be 31 this year.
50 and retired? Yeah. Get out of here.
But now because I do what I love, I don't feel like I'm working.
Yeah.
So my retirement isn't even in 20, 30, 40 years. Maybe 40, but
yeah, that's reasonable.
My goal at one point is ultimately to retire. But because I love what I do so much and I'm passionate, I want to continue doing this. And eventually I want to be able to build a team, to build a culture, a company where I'm able to give other people a chance and the hope to be able to experience what I experience without any of the downfalls, to be a good coach, a good mentor, a good leader, and to give them the opportunity, hey, just because you came from nothing, that doesn't mean you'll become nothing or be nothing. There's still hope and a chance for you to make something out of yourself and for your future family.
I love that. It's like, I see a lot of people, they'll go into business with no real mission. Like their mission, they'll come up with something like surface level, but you can tell like it's just to make money, right? Versus someone that wants to build a real company that is helping people that and it's coming from a place of like, yo, I wasn't helped before. And so now I want to be the facilitator of the help for you, especially if like you don't come from like an affluent family, or like if you're, if you're immigrants or whatever. It's like, it's important for people to see that there is a way, and it's important for, us to be that beacon of hope, right?
Absolutely.
And just like to show them like, hey, look, this is the blueprint. This is step by step. And we're doing it together. And I think that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I think like in the future, or if not already, like the only people that will really succeed are people that have that type of drive and that type of passion that comes from such a real place.
Right.
So I think that's beautiful. Can you like paint the picture a little bit more for me? So, okay. So you got your building, right? You got a bunch of people. What is it all? Just realtors, and what are they doing in your business?
My entire career, my professional career, I was in a way or another a financial advisor, not necessarily the definition of a financial advisor where like I'm helping people plan for retirement, but an advisor in their finances and their wealth management, whether it's private banking, loans, or retirement planning, estate planning, any of that nature.
Okay.
So I was always advising and helping people how to become wealthy or preserve their wealth. And now I took the same passion and the same fundamentals of that role, and now I'm applying it as a realtor. Being a realtor, you're really helping someone make, for most of these people, the biggest decision of their life financially. Yeah. When you're buying a $500,000 house or $1 million house, a $2 million house, that's huge. So it can make or break that person. So, and what you're not really selling. Like I never looked at it as like, I'm going to sell you a home. Let me help you build wealth. Let me take the chance. Let me take the time out of our schedule. Let's sit down and let's talk about today's market. And let's see, maybe right now in your own specific financial situation, it may be better off for you to continue renting for the next year or two. Or maybe, hey, you have enough capital. Right now is the perfect time and perfect opportunity for you to get into the real estate game, not just for investing, but to buy and purchase and build that home for you and your family. So it's still advising financially in a way or another, just from a different perspective.
What is that role even called? Are you making your own? Is that like a new?
That's essentially what a realtor should be.
Yeah.
So if you're selling homes,
So are you gonna like start your own brokerage or start a team? Like how does that look?
I'm with Real Brokerage.
You're with Real, yeah, that's right. Yes,
it's funny because yesterday I was at NASDAQ Stock Exchange.
Yeah,
and then we celebrated
20,000
20,000 agents, 10th year anniversary, and it's a huge milestone. Our stock today was up like 7.5%, 7.3%.
Bro, that's awesome.
It's amazing. And I chose Real because of that. That company, it's very rare for you to find a company that wants to be profitable and at the same time to have a soul. You know, they really care about the people, about their partners, about the individuals that they're working with. And I witnessed and saw that firsthand with Real.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So like, isn't it Chris? Who were we just talking about?
Oh, Chris. Yes.
Yeah.
Chris Stout.
Yeah. Explain to me your relationship with him and how that kind of came about.
So I head his investor relations team. So Stout Cap is actually a private real estate investment firm located in Central Jersey, and then they raise capital and they purchase multifamily assets, and then they also do developing, and it's huge. And Chris is on the uprun. So right now they're heavily purchasing specific assets in real estate, and they're looking to build, not necessarily like building developments, but also acquiring multifamilies.
True. And that doesn't have to be in the state of New Jersey, right? That can be anywhere.
Yeah, I think they own just over 600 units across 5 different states.
True.
And then we're developing in New York and New Jersey.
Okay, so you're essentially like his go-to realtor that gets all the deals?
I don't get him the deals. I help him manage the investors and that relationship with the investors.
What does that look like?
Interesting. A lot of these people, they have extra capital. So those are accredited investors. You need to meet certain criteria for you to be an accredited investor. So that means you have extra cash to dispose.
Disposable income.
Okay. So they want to start investing their money and they want to be able to create that generational wealth or to preserve their capital that they worked really hard to obtain. So they figured, let me invest it in real estate. But I don't have the time or the resources or the effort to go out there and invest myself. So let me do a syndication. Let me invest in a fund. Let me invest with someone who does this on a day-to-day basis. They're the general partner. They handle all the daily operations. And I'm just going to be a limited partner. I'm just going to be a passive investor. I'm going to sit there and collect monthly distributions. And then at the same time, I have part ownership in the specific asset and I'm enjoying the potential equity in the future.
You said syndication. Can you break that down for like a 3-year-old to understand?
Yeah, essentially syndication is you're gathering other people's money and they're investing in a specific property. And then every one of those people, they own a specific percentage of ownership based off how much money you came to the table with.
Got it. So what does like your day-to-day look like?
A lot of phone calls.
Like talking about what though?
Talking about what we do, who we are, and then really it's asking a lot of questions.
It's like sales calls?
Yeah, it's sales. It's exactly sales. Because you need to believe in what you're doing, the mission and the vision of the company. You need to believe that this is a good opportunity to help the other individual within that it fits somehow in their financial plan.
So how does the communication start? Do they contact you or you contact them?
There's different methods of this. So there's outbound leads, there's inbound leads, depending on how they came in or how I'm reaching out to them. It could be a warm lead or it could be a cold call.
Okay. So just so I understand, because I find this like fascinating, right? Like I just love marketing and sales.
Sure.
And so like anytime like I have the opportunity, I want to talk about it. And this is like what you do.
Yeah.
So like this is perfect. Okay. So like boom, let's just say you're on a call with someone. Let's just say it's a cold lead, right? Like how do you like pitch yourself?
Yeah. So if it's a cold call, that means they express that. I know this may sound like it's still a warm lead, but it's still a cold call because I know this person meets certain criteria. They're wealthy, they have excess cash, and they're having some type of interest of investing if they reach that accredited investor or accredited level status.
What is it? How does one get that accredited level?
Income level, your net worth, essentially, is what when it comes down to accreditation.
Okay, so like let's just say someone's worth 100 million. I'm assuming that should be enough to get
so
them.
the criteria is you need to be worth $1 million excluding your primary residence. If you're single, you need to be making $250,000 or more. If you're married, your household income needs to be $300,000 or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so boom, like let's just say you're on a cold call with them. Like, how do you like get?
It's hard. It's really hard, but you have to figure out a way to make it easy. And if something is easy, you'll never make money.
Yeah, that's why not everybody's rich, right?
Yeah. If it's easy, you'll never make money. If it's hard, there's always an opportunity for you to earn some extra capital or money. So, cold call, there's a bunch of other people out there like Daniel G, Gary V, and Andy Elliott.
Wait, they're all doing the same thing?
No. They're coaching you how to become a better communicator or a good salesperson. So everyone has a different strategy. There's like kind selling. There's like being aggressive, or there's
emotional,
or figuring out something and talking about that. And then you can take a little piece of from everyone and make your own. So it really depends. If the other person on the other line is very aggressive, doesn't have the time, and these people usually they're getting millions of these cold calls for them. Yeah, think about it. If you're a multimillionaire, you don't think you're going to be getting a lot of phone calls, people asking you to invest?
I feel like I would know a way to like hide my number.
Yeah, hide your number. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
People like me, we figure out a way to make sure we get your number in a way or another. There's like true people search. There's databases they can run and skip trace the individual's phone number. We do run into people that are on the do not call list, or
How do you know if someone's on a do not call list?
So certain programs would be flagged, so they would know, hey, this phone number is on the national do not call list, so you can't call that person at all.
Wait, this is all new to me. Yeah. So okay, so hold on. So there's a database that I can see everybody's number
right now. You can register your phone number as a DNC, do not call, and that means any marketer that calls you just committed a crime. It's illegal to call someone on the national do not call list.
This is great to know because I just learned about scraping not too long ago, right? It's like if you see a list and it's like, let's just say I see George, your name and your phone number, and it's like that same thing for 1 million people, I can scrape it and get all million.
Right.
But it doesn't tell me if someone's on a do not call list.
So if there are all these different platforms out there, like Mojo Dialer is what I'm familiar with. Okay. So if you use Mojo Dialer, you can skip trace and it gives you the people's information, like email address if it's available and their phone number. So as you're calling them, it'll flag if that person is on the do not call list. And they actually have a cool feature where you can filter any of the do not call people
get them
out of that list.
What?
So that way, all the people that you're calling, they're you got the green light. You're good to go.
So do I have to go to Mojo Dialer with the bunch of numbers already and then import them into Mojo Dialer?
You can do that, or usually you would just filter out a specific zip code and it tells you.
Yeah, what is it, like a service I pay for?
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription.
Huh? Is there anything else like that?
There are other programs out there. I'm sure. I'm just very familiar with the Mojo Dialer.
That's the one you mainly use? Okay, so boom, you call Mojo Dialer, you go to Mojo Dialer, you get and you get names, emails, and everything.
Even PropStream. If you use PropStream to gather other people, PropStream is another database.
How do you spell that?
Prop, like P-R-O-P, and then stream.
Okay.
A lot of wholesalers actually use that database. Even some realtors too, because the amount of features that they have it's incredible. So you can filter. I was just actually on the phone with someone who was trying to get into the wholesaling business, but that system, you can filter down to a specific zip code anywhere nationwide. And then you can filter down so narrow to the point, I want to know all the homes in this specific zip code that have a specific amount of equity or that are non-owner occupied or whatever. They have a bunch of filters that you can filter through.
Like income.
Yeah.
Job title?
I don't know about income or job title, but primarily stuff that has to deal with the property. So non-owner occupied, if it's owned by an estate or a trust or...
So if you get a number and it says non-owner occupied...
That's good if you're a wholesaler. Because think about it. If it's non-owner occupied and you're looking to flip something, you're trying to purchase something at a discount, most likely they are also an investor, or they eventually wanted to become an investor, and maybe they were doing such a horrible job managing that property.
Oh, so
that
you're
they
getting
wanna,
the name of the person that owns a non-owner.
right.
Oh,
That's what PropStream is for. You're gathering owners' information that own real estate.
got it.
Mojo Dialer, not necessarily. You can actually import information to Mojo Dialer. It's essentially as a dialer. Or you can filter out the same thing, property owners' information, and then it'll tell you, hey, this person is on the do not call list.
I gotta look into that, dude.
Yeah.
What? Okay, because this is all new to me. You know what I mean? I'm so used to organic growth on social media, word of mouth, and just warm leads. People are like, oh, dude, I love your stuff. Like, let's do this. Yeah, sure. Okay, easy. No problem.
Why not?
Yeah, right? But like this whole new like cold outreach is all completely a new world to me. So I'm fascinated.
And that's how people try to differentiate themselves. Because if you're not doing cold calls or you're not doing any of the outreaches, you're essentially setting up yourself for failure.
Yeah.
And that's bad failure. You know how they always say there's like good debt and bad debt? Like
Sure.
buying a home and you're borrowing from the bank, that's like good debt.
Okay.
Because you're using debt to eventually accumulate wealth. Or if you're borrowing debt, you're borrowing money from the bank to buy an investment property. That's good debt. Bad debt would be like credit card debt. Hey, I want to buy me the latest Louis Vuitton bag or whatever for my wife or girlfriend, my spouse. Let me put on a credit card, even though I can't afford it. I'm going to finance it with like 30 or 28% interest. That's bad debt.
Yeah.
So I feel like outreach right now is like good stuff where people need to do to outreach to gain new business or to differentiate themselves. And that's the good of the bad, because outreach is not fun. It's not easy and it's hard.
Yeah.
And you have to have tough skin, because when I was in banking, they would always tell you, you got to reach 100 no's to get to that one yes.
Yeah. And now it's like 1,000 no's to get a couple of yeses.
And think about it. I think they shared a statistic. The average individual goes through 10,000 ads a day.
Yeah. I'm sure.
10,000 ads
Wait, a day?
a day.
How is that even possible? I mean,
10th
we're probably so numb to it at this point. we don't even
Marketing and
notice half of it.
advertising. Think about it. How many billboards do you see just from here on your commute from here to back home?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one trip. Now coming back, I'm sure you're coming from a different road, different billboards on the other side,
That's
different
not to mention on
advertising.
your phone.
And
going
all the
on-
sponsored ads you're getting. So you're
Jeez.
targeted. Or if you open up an email that's saying, coming from whatever, Sony or whatever camera devices you use, hey, we're offering 10% off because
I love those.
yeah, those are the ones you open, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 10,000 ads. So how many other people out there that are non-owner occupied, so that one investor or that one landlord, tired landlord, how many calls do you think they're getting a day? And they're probably blasted with emails or blasted with postcards being sent to their actual mailing address saying, hey, we want to buy your property in cash. We'll close fast, no fees, nothing.
So is that what you say?
For the wholesaling business, yeah.
Okay. But okay. So no, because
I wanted to become a wholesaler and I sucked so bad.
what made you suck though?
First of all, I didn't have the patience. I didn't. It was just so much work. And I got to give it, like, a lot of wholesalers are getting shit from other people. And I respect wholesalers. Certain wholesalers I respect. Like, it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of time, a lot of grind. And people always say to become a wholesaler, you don't really need to spend money. To me, I think being in this market, you kind of have to. You need to either spend money to get that database, to call people. You need to spend money if you want to send out postcards. And to stand out, you need to spend money for some type of local marketing. You need to spend money to gain some type of new business. Yes, it's relatively cheaper than starting like a business, and you need to pay a lot for overhead cost, but you still need some type of money to get you up and running.
No.
And the ones that make it, they make good money. They make good money without owning anything.
Okay. So now my next question is, when you're on the phone with someone, right? How do you differentiate yourself from all the million other people that are calling them?
Very good question. I don't know how all the other million people are pitching them, but I straight up tell them, hey, listen, this is a cold call. And I'm sure you're getting
That's what you say. So you're calling
Yeah.
me, ring. Hey, this is a cold call.
Think
That's
about
what
it.
you
If
say?
someone calls you, if someone is calling you right now and they're like, hey, is this Mike or whatever? And then they just get into the pitch, I'm probably going to hang up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
How many of those people are getting the same call every single day? They know if I don't know you, most likely you're going to pitch me something. So they have their guards up immediately. Especially, and then your tonality also plays into the game. If I call a cold call, if I'm doing a cold call, I'm like, hey, is this Mike? Obviously, I don't know you and you don't know me. But if you start off the call, hey, Mike, you got 30 seconds. I want to talk to you about blah, 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 something relative in your industry. Okay. That's what the blah, blah, blah is. More than likely, you're probably going, okay, maybe this person knows me. Did we connect before?
Okay, but
So
you
the
don't
way you
flat
come
out say, "Hey, I'm cold calling you." You're just like,
I don't say I'm cold calling you. I try to say it in a different way. I'm like, hey, this is George from blah, blah, blah. I know this is random. Do you have 30 seconds? I'd like to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. Or I'll say, hey, this is George from X. I know you're probably getting 100 of these calls and I hate them myself. I hate making them. But I think I might have an opportunity here for you if you're interested in X, Y, and Z. You got to immediately, you know how in your industry, marketing, it's all about the hook. Same thing on a call. You got to figure out a hook.
and retention.
Exactly. And retention, to put their guards down. The second they pick up a call, they can sense if you're a salesperson, if you're pitching them something, and they just don't have the time for that. So you got to figure out a way to put their guards down. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's why they always say, smile and dial, baby.
Yeah. That's so funny. In terms of like percentages, like how many calls, like first of all, how many calls do you do in a day?
As a realtor, the max amount of calls I made in a month was 1,500.
1,500. Okay,
Almost
that's
at $1,500. I'm so used to saying dollars. 1,500 calls. And those were strictly cold calls with the help of Mojo Dialer. I hated myself that month.
Why?
And it was just a lot. It was just a lot of rejections because...
Oh, I was going to ask. So like all this rejection, doesn't that kind of like sometimes make you like reflect, and it's like, it kind of like fucks with your head a little bit, right?
For sure. 1,000%. And then you just got to be the type of person that you got to say, am I going to let that affect me? Or let me pause, let me take a break and come back to it. At first, at one point I was taking it personal. I'm like, I'm trying to help you make money. Why don't you want to give me like 30 seconds of your time? So I'm like, dude, you know what? It has nothing to do with you personally.
It doesn't.
Okay, maybe you caught them at a bad time, bad day. They're going through something rough in their lifetime or whatever the case might be. Give them another chance. Or they'll straight up tell you, hey, do not call, and hang up in your face. Those are my favorite because I usually call them back. I'm like, hey, I think we got disconnected. And they get furious. They're like, I hung up, blah, blah, blah. Don't call me. But I'm like, okay. So now I got an affirmation saying, do not call me back.
Got it.
And then sometimes when you call them back the second time, they're like, hey, I'm busy right now. Can you just call me at another time? Great. Mike, when's a good time for me to give you a call back? Tuesday at 5 or Monday at 1?
You give them the time slot.
Yeah, you gotta put it right in their face. Because if you're gonna tell them when's a good time, oh, I'm busy. This is end of quarter, end of month, end of week, end of day, whatever. There's always something going on in their life. They're not gonna remember when's their next free time. They're gonna remember all the busy times that they have filled with their schedule. So you gotta give them an option. And sometimes if you tell them, hey, Monday in the morning or Thursday in the afternoon, they're like, no, let's do Friday morning. I think that might be better. Great. And you know what's funny? I just make up those days and times. Like it may not be even good for me, but I'll make myself free for that one lead.
That's so interesting. Out of that 1,500, how many do you think you've actually like closed out of that 1,500?
Very low percentages. I don't even have that percentage. I think it's like 2 or 2.5%.
But that's still like 20 people, right?
But that's good.
That's huge.
But that doesn't mean they made business with me. Now I'm nurturing those leads.
Oh, so okay. So they didn't close.
They didn't close.
But now they gave you the time.
Yes.
So 1,500 people for 20 people.
They expressed some type of interest. And listen, I said 1,500 calls, not contacts.
What does that mean?
So calls meaning I called someone, either they didn't answer or it's a wrong number. That counts as a call. A contact, if I spoke with you, even if you told me no. So my contact ratio is about like 15 or 17%.
Okay. 17% of like just not even real numbers or something.
Yeah. So either it's bad numbers or busy. Like, yes, there's always something wrong with these numbers when you skip trace. So either I feel like I'm doing something wrong or I just need to upgrade to a better system. And again, and these, I also consider myself like I'm still new. Like I've only been a realtor for like 6-7 months now, but I've been in the game for like maybe 4 or 5 years. So in terms of sales, in terms of like communication, building the rapport with someone or the client relationship, I think I have that down, but I can always sharpen it and enhance it. And I feel like it's through these rejections that I'm able to do that and sharpen that skill.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
For sure.
Yeah. Like it's experience, right? It's like you need to get, it's like going to the gym. Like you have to work out to see some type of muscle, right? I could watch YouTube videos on how to eat healthy and how to work out, but it's not going to give me muscle. You know what I mean? I have to put in that effort. I have to put in that sweat, that grind. And
That's so true.
You have to do it. And what I find interesting is because you came from a finance background, and like my main thing is like marketing, right? And it's like, you know, you have to diversify your portfolio in finance, right? You have to diversify your marketing too, right? And so like, is all you do is focus on cold? I saw you post a video. I'm like, my guy, he's posting.
Yeah.
It's so important to be online, to show people who you are, show your personality, show your online presence. And I was like, bro, that's awesome. Like you need that. Are you going to post more?
Yes. So I always preach consistency is key in anything that I do. Personal life, business life, spiritually, consistency is always key. And over the course of a period of time, you're eventually going to enhance or sharpen that skill set, whatever that you're consistent in attempting to do. So I need to get better at being consistent at social media. And then it's just weird for me because I'm as young as I am. I'm really not that tech savvy. So sometimes I'll make a video and it's trash. And if you actually go on my page, I don't even have that many followers. And I have a story to share about that. But if you look at my first video, horrible quality. It was on my iPhone 12 front camera, okay, because I wanted to see myself. And the audio was horrible. One of my buddies was like, dude, you got to get yourself some type of microphone or something because like you can hear the echo. I was in my room. It was horrible. And now I'm working with the team where they're able to provide some type of social media assistance. So I'm taking 4K great quality camera and they're editing it for me. They're enhancing the quality of the sound of the audio. They're giving me a wireless microphone. So it's becoming a little bit better. Now I just need to become better at building the time and finding the time to make those videos and make it consistent. Because I witnessed, everyone would tell you, social media presence is huge for you to capture new business.
Yeah.
Ever since I posted those nicer videos, I gained one new business.
Already?
One new lead.
Okay.
And I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
Like I saw the proof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Someone reached out. Every time I make a post, I would always go into like all the 25 Facebook groups that I'm on and I would just share it.
That's awesome.
I don't care who sees it.
Yeah.
I would just share it. I don't care if it's good, bad, or I sound like an idiot or whatever the content may be. I'm still going to post it.
It's like the cold calling thing.
Yeah.
People are going to talk shit regardless.
I just want to be in front of as many people as I possibly can. It comes down to a statistics game. So that one person saw my post that I said, I come from the financial background. Now I'm into real estate. I've been investing in real estate. And he's like, hey, I don't know anything on how I can obtain a mortgage. And that's been my biggest fear. This person is an engineer, has really good a good down payment for in terms of cash. So when I ran some preliminary numbers, because again, like I could do that. I'm like, dude, let me help you out. And he was like, his biggest fear is like, I'm afraid I might not get approved. And he came to me because he saw my video, because of my finance background, and now I'm into real estate. And ever since then, that motivated me more. Hey, dude, you need to make more videos and pump it out. I always thought, when you're in the industry, whatever industry you're in, you always think like the basics, those are the fundamentals, like the 101s, so basic. But what I came to realize, the majority of people, it's not basic to them. It's actually a high level of knowledge. But to you, you think it's so basic, so I'm not going to touch upon that. And when you do touch upon that, it makes you feel like, whoa, this person really knows his stuff.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And it's funny because we're juxtaposing social media with the cold calling. Which one do you prefer?
Social media.
Yeah. So now the question is, are you going to be done with cold calling and focus solely on social media?
No, I think, like you said, diversify. Yeah. So maybe I won't be making as many cold calls, but I'm still going to be making some type of cold calls.
Okay.
And then I just need to post more videos on social media. I just need to figure out that nice balance. What that balance is, I don't know. I got to go through all these trials and errors for me to figure out that equation.
How did you how did you come to the conclusion that you were like, oh, I need to be on social media, like for real, for real?
It's 2024 when I saw a bunch of realtors changing their status on their bio from realtor to digital creator.
Wait, what? People do that?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're a realtor. You're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then now, like team leads and whatever, they have to be creative in terms of social media presence. And they have to come up with a lot of creative content so they can always be there on someone's feed, and they can be always on someone's mind whenever they think of real estate. Oh, it's so and so. Let me go to that person. Oh, I was just talking with my wife this morning about real estate, and Joe Smith just popped up on my story. He's in real estate. Let me talk to him. As opposed, and you're kind of selling yourself at that point. Cold call, you got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. They haven't seen you. All they know about you is how you sound. So that tonality. So social media, I think, in my opinion, kind of sells yourself a little bit more.
When did you start working with the company?
February-ish.
And
March.
then when did you get that first lead?
I want to say in May.
That's awesome. So like in
Yeah.
a month or two.
Yeah.
How many pieces of content did you post within that month or two?
I don't remember. Like a handful, maybe.
Like once a week?
No, once every 2 or 3 days.
Okay. So like twice a week.
Yeah.
3 times
and then,
a week.
I think total, like I have 6 or 7 out there on my profile right now. Not a lot. I'm still getting to the game. Hey, I need to make more content. And then it's so hard because now you really have to become that digital creator or that content creator. Like, what am I going to post? Like, everyone is posting, but how are you going to stand out with all the tens of thousands of people that you're seeing every day? Who's going to sit there and watch my video? Why me and not the person after me or before me, whoever? So
your
what I'm
personality.
trying to do is I'm trying to figure out and make some type of content that raise someone's hand to be like, I have a question about that. Let me reach out. I don't want to just make something that's just fun and cool, which I think is awesome too. Don't get me wrong. You need to have that in the mix. But I feel like if you raise some type of awareness or if you make someone think or curious, I'm like, I wonder how you can buy an $800,000 house but only pay $2,750 as your mortgage payment. And they're like, let me reach out to the person. Is there any type of program or like you can make, or like all these down payment assistance? Let me show you how you can get $20,000 free from the government. That's a grant as long as you live in the house for the first 3 years or something like that. They're going to be like, oh, cool. What? 20K for free from the government? Let me reach out to that person.
This is content you already made.
This is the content that's in the pipeline that I'm about to post.
Got it.
So I'm trying to always think of like, let me make some type of content that with the audience, not just it's a hook and retention, but like, I want them to raise their hand. Hey, I have a question about that. You mentioned X, blah, blah, blah. How do I do that? Can you help me with that?
That's awesome. And I feel like it's so much easier to like explain your story on social media than it is like
Exactly.
cold calling. You know what I mean? Because like in cold calling, it's like, dude, I don't want to hear your whole life story. You know what I mean? But like on social media, it's like I'm the one choosing to listen to you
On your own time.
Yeah.
So I'm not calling you between your busy schedule, you picking up the kids, dropping off the kids, grocery shopping, at work. So your free time, you're scrolling. Let me reach out to that person.
So my next question is, and I want to be respectful. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but how much do you budget out for the content creation?
Not a lot in the beginning, but now I have to pay some type of money to boost my post, or if I'm hosting an open house, I have to, bump up my post some way.
Oh, I mean for the people to come and film you.
Oh, yeah. So I'm very privileged that because of the team that I'm on, and shout out to Signature Media, they do my content pretty much almost at no cost.
No way.
Only because of the way that the dynamic of the team works. And it helps them.
Signature, so because I know Signature Media, I've actually I didn't know you were with that. So who's what's his name? Julian, yes.
Yes. So I'm on his team.
So you're on his team. Okay.
Yeah, he's the team lead.
Is there Lenny on that team as well? Or she's under someone? Do you know our Lenny?
Yes, she's actually on no, I think she might be on a different team. I don't know. I'm still trying to get to know the people. I know Peter,
true.
Dr. Real Estate.
Yeah, we had him on.
Yeah, so he's killing the game with social media and content creation. Signature Media helps him out with that too, I think. And I know there's a lot of people on those two separate teams, Peter and Julian's, and then some created their own, but they're still under the same umbrella of these two. So
So Julian's able to give you guys pretty much awesome content for at no almost little to no price to you because it's under Real.
it's under his team. Because think about it. If you're a realtor, there's some type of split.
Oh,
So your commission,
Oh.
a portion goes to you, a portion goes to the team lead, okay, or your sponsor, and a portion goes to the company.
God.
And that's usually across the board. Any brokerage you work with, there's always some type of split.
Yeah.
And then what you get out of that split is content creation. At another
Gotcha.
brokerage, it's the split plus additional fees plus marketing costs. So depending on whatever the arrangement might be, you may or may not be getting something out of it. For me, it is. It's worth it. I'm getting, social media or content creation,
which is so important.
is crucial to the business.
And not only that, but okay, so one thing I love and I commend Julian, right?
Yeah.
I commend him for is you're like what he's doing is one, he's teaching you guys or whoever's under his team, he's teaching them about the power of content creation, right? He's walking you through it, doing it with you.
Exactly.
Right? And then showing like getting results for what you guys just did together. And in turn, it's like building like this machine, which is so cool.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Exactly. And shout out to Julian, honestly. He's always telling us, like, you're not producing enough videos. You're not making enough content. You need to make more videos. And it's so true. I mean, right now, you asked me earlier, how do you differentiate yourself? As a realtor, I feel like differentiating yourself in the past, let me be on social media. Or let me have my own YouTube channel. But now it became the norm. So even when social media is a norm for realtors, how do you still figure out a way to differentiate yourself through that barrier of the whatever the new norm is? I actually just made a new video that I'm about to post in the next couple of days about your mind shift pre-COVID versus post-COVID, where like your mindset, you need to shift your mind from the pre-COVID real estate era to the post-COVID. So a lot of people are still having that mindset. Hey, rates are eventually going to be 2 or 3% again. I'm still going to find a great house for 300 grand. That's almost turnkey, meaning I can just move in. It's move-in ready. I just move in. That's it. Where 500,000 is the new 300,000 post-COVID. So someone who's shopping for homes, they're like, oh, this house is not worth 300 grand. Well, no, it is. Like the post-COVID era, this is the norm. That's the new standard. Just how there's inflation and the inflation is at X and your purchasing power is lower. Same thing with real estate. Now that 300,000 purchasing power is able to get you that $300,000 house, but at a higher cost, 500 grand. Now the new interest rate, which I think is a little bit healthy for the economy, is hovering right around that 7%. Mm-hmm. I don't have a crystal ball. Are we ever going to go back to 2-3%? Probably not.
Ever again?
I don't know about ever again, but at least for the next few years, I don't see that happening.
True.
Like you have to be at such a, like this is going to take us into economics, but to go back into that 2 or 3%, there's a lot of things that need to happen for those rates to come down. A lot of decisions that the Fed needs to make in order for them to bring the rates down to that 2 or 3%. And they injected trillions of dollars during COVID. It hasn't even fully circulated throughout the entire economy yet, hence the inflation. Now they're saying, inflation is coming down slightly and then it keeps going up, but inflation is broken down into different categories. You have the core inflation. Then if you break down inflation, there's the healthcare inflation, how much is medicines going up versus automobiles. There's a lot of variables that go into it. So because of all the money that was passed around hasn't circulated fully in the economy, they don't see a need for them to bring down the rates. For what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like for the foreseeable future, rates are going to be around that 7-ish, slightly higher, slightly less, give or take, but 2-3%, I don't know.
Do you feel like there's going to be like a crazy crash soon?
If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Where would you be?
I'll be retired.
Oh. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. I can come up with different theories, But honestly, I don't know. From what we're seeing in the market, I'm not seeing it anytime soon, should there be a correction. And then I wouldn't call it a crash, probably a correction. People are overpaying for certain homes, but it's at their own discretion. Okay. So that doesn't mean that's the value of the property. So if it appraises at 700 and they're willing to pay 900 grand, they're coming out of pocket with a $200,000 difference. What does that do to the market? Couple of things. People are going to say, oh, well, my neighbor down the block sold his house for 900 grand. I should get 950 for mine. I have an extra bedroom. But what happens is they do that. It may or may not get sold. But now if you actually go on the listing, you're going to see a lot of price reduction because people overinflated the price of their homes and they realize, okay, you know what? Maybe the market is not going to, it's not going to satisfy the market. There isn't enough demand to overpay. So we have to be a little bit more realistic with our pricing. Let's reduce the price. And people are saying, oh, there's a X amount of listings that have price reduction. Oh, there's a market crash. Is it? Or because it was overpriced, now they're just being a little bit more realistic, bringing it down to close to the market value.
Right.
In terms of office space and commercial, it's a funny one. I mean, a lot of these loans or institutions that own commercial properties like New York City skylines, office buildings, we're seeing it right now. I mean, some people are taking office buildings to convert it into multifamilies, but it's super hard. And right now with the laws that's happening in New York, they're not making it easy for landlords.
Yeah.
So is the conversion going to happen? Maybe for certain developers, I don't know. But what we can say from the actual facts, there are a lot of owners or developers or people that own these properties are either defaulting on their loan or they're asking the bank to do a loan modification. And a loan modification is essentially saying, hey, my term is coming up due. I have to make this balloon payment. I can't make it. Can we figure out a way to make it work? Can you extend my term, increase the rate, or increase the rate but give me longer term so that my monthly payment is not as high, or work with me so that way I don't go into foreclosure. We're seeing a lot of those in the commercial space.
That's what because I was talking to someone because I'm interested in like warehouse space.
Yeah.
Because I want to like just have like a dope warehouse where I can do this, but like times 10.
Flex space. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I thought flex space is not like mixed use.
It's not mixed use. Oh. Flex space is essentially getting a warehouse or like a strip and you're making it's flexible. It could be something like a studio like this. It could be like a small retail.
So that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And then they were saying that like in the next, like now to the next couple of years, it's great because there's so much in inventory that you can get it for like a great price compared to like office space. And then I heard someone else and they're like, no, that's baloney. Like that's not true at all.
Yeah. That's why I honestly answer that question. When you ask me, is there going to be a market crash? I don't know. And I don't think anyone knows. Yeah. But people, based on certain facts and analysis, you can make an educated guess. So you got to look at the numbers, not just what you emotionally think there's going to be a crash or not. And by the way, 2008, that correction everyone was talking about, oh, this is going to be worse than 2008 or this is going to be as bad as 2008. 2008 was a 15%. The real estate market got hit by 15%. Okay, so if you're getting into a project and you're looking into developing and you're looking at, and in today's market rate, like market value, and you have a nice profit margin, let's say 30%, okay, in terms of developing, assuming there is a market crash, even as bad as 2008, you still have 15% gains. And that's on today's underwriting. But usually when you're developing something, it takes a year and a half or two. Mm-hmm. So you're still underwriting very conservatively because real estate appreciates, anywhere between 4 to 7%, 4 to 7%.
A year?
Annually, yeah. Okay. So, again, if you really want to get into the real analysis and you take into consideration time value of money and the net present value.
Why don't you become a developer?
Who?
You.
One day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So is that what the business is going to be? You're going to be a developer?
So the business is going to have I want to have a company, like a holding company, and I want to have different branches. That's my vision. If you ask me, like in 20, 30 years, it's essentially how I imagine it. Okay. I'm going to have a real estate division to help buy and sell. and guide investors and sellers and buyers. And then I want to be able to have property management. And then that's going to manage all the property that we buy and hold. So all the syndication deals that we're doing, all the multifamilies or whatever, someone needs to manage those properties. You hire your own property manager to manage those assets, and then eventually to develop. That's like the final branch.
Oh, that's the final branch, it's not the first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It takes a lot of money to develop.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, still, you can get to that through like syndication and stuff, right? Private investors. And
Getting
stuff.
a loan for a ground up construction in today's environment is not as easy.
Even if you like crowdsource, like
And the entire thing, yeah, you can. Then you won't need a bank.
that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Oh, if you do the entire thing in
and
cash,
then build
absolutely.
the business from private money, not from the bank at all. Or does it make more sense to use the bank?
It makes more sense to leverage some type of debt,
True.
as opposed to
Just
going
because
in
like it
all
builds
equity.
a track. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
True.
just in my honest opinion, my personal opinion.
Just to have like that paper trail.
Yeah. And the credibility with the banks.
True. So that way you
Because think about it, when you're buying a home, the first fix and flip, if you get something called a DSCR loan, debt service cover ratio, and there's essentially what that loan is, they're never going to check any of your financials. They're not going to ask for your W-2. They're not going to ask for your pay stubs, your tax returns, nothing. As long as your credit score is good or better, that determines your interest rate. And as long as the potential rental income from that property pays your monthly expenses and a little bit some, you get approved. In order for you to get that DSCR loan, the first one is going to be hard. Because why? The lender, first question they're going to ask, have you purchased any real estate in the past? If your answer is going to be no, it's going to be a little bit trickier for them to lend you the money. But it's possible. Like, it's doable. But you're probably not going to get favorable terms. Meaning your closing costs might be a little bit more expensive. Your interest rate is probably going to be a little bit higher. Stuff like that.
Got it.
It still may make sense for that specific investment opportunity. But then as you start getting those DSCR loans,
It's not scalable.
it can be scalable, but it's scalable for the lender. So now if you have 2 or 3, 4, 5 different properties, and then you're going to go to the bank, oh, this guy, okay, seems like he knows what he's doing. We're going to give him more favorable terms. Same thing with developing. If you have zero developing experience, why is a bank going to trust millions of dollars?
Well, no. So like, let's just say like I get all this private money, right? I do a development. We split the pie, whatever. And then I have all these numbers and I bring it to the bank and I'm like, hey, look, I did this already.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, you could do that.
And then,
Depending on your lender.
so you have to be cool with the lender.
No, I mean, like, depending on the lender, if they're going to take that into consideration or not, more than likely they will.
They?
But they still want to see some type of, you also need to understand like their underwriting guidelines. They want to make sure 2008 doesn't happen again. And that's a whole different conversation we can have, like the lending space. The underwriting guidelines is crucial, and rightly so. That's why it's easier to get yourself a mortgage through a private broker than through a traditional bank. If you're looking to buy a house and you're going to go to Chase, there's 1,000,001 requirements you need to meet or guidelines for them to approve you. But if you go through a private broker, they don't need to necessarily meet the same guidelines. They have guidelines, underwriting guidelines, but not as hectic. And essentially what they do is these mortgage-backed securities, MBS, and they bundle all these and they sell it back in the market. And eventually it goes back to Chase, Bank of America, or that traditional bank that buys them in bulk for the monthly cash flow.
I love learning about this stuff because this is like a whole nother world to me.
It's so funny. Chase actually declined me for one of the investment properties.
What was their reasoning?
I don't remember what was the reasoning, but I think it was I didn't have valid experience in the real estate industry yet. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I went to, I'm sorry, my income level as well. There's like a different criteria that I just didn't meet. Which
Chase is like sticklers,
and at that time, I had the business, so like my income level was good because I had my personal income plus the income of the business. So I went through a private broker, got approved, got the investment property, and you know what's funny too? Now it's being serviced by Chase. So Chase ended up buying it on the back end.
Funny. It's full circle, right?
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
And that's why, because of their underwriting guidelines. They can't underwrite it for you, but hey, you go to someone else, private broker, they'll do it, sell it back in the market. They'll eventually get it on the back end.
That's hilarious. So can you walk, like, let's just say I want to be a developer. I want to have my real estate and I want to have my project management. What's a realistic timeline? Like, is that legit 20 years down the road, or like, can I have it in 10 years and then have the other 10 years to build it? Like, what is like reality?
Depends on how hungry you are.
Starving.
Yeah. It all depends on how fast you can move.
What do I need to be moving that moves the needle? Because like for me personally, from my personal experience, building my own business, I see 100 fires every day, but there's only like one fire that actually, if I put it out, moves the needle substantially. And so like me as a business owner, I had to learn which ones were the important fires and which ones can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like which ones have you learned are the ones?
So let's break it down. Your question, how to ultimately become a developer, right? Numerous ways. You can start by making 1 or 2 fix and flips so you can have that experience and the credibility and the reputation. So that way when you're investing and pitching investors, hey, I was able to completely remodel this. I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. Can you invest in my development? Or what you can do is you partner up with a sponsor, someone who has done that in the past. They're credible, reputable, and a lender will be more than happy to give them a loan. And then in exchange, they're going to be a limited partner. They're going to be passive investor and be like, I'm going to do all the day-to-day operations. I'm going to manage the contractors, the subs. I'm going to handle all the objections that comes with the township, the inspection. I'm going to do the entire thing. In exchange, I need you to come in as a partner and help me get that loan. Once you do that first deal, that's it.
What do you mean?
You're golden from there. Because
Really?
now you have
Just
the experience.
one deal is enough?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how big, but yeah, if you go to a bank and you at least have one development deal, more than likely you're going to be able to get another loan.
What is the biggest downfall you've seen for developers? Like, what is the
Cost of money.
cost of money? Was that like inflation?
Cost of money. Inflation does play a part of it, but not necessarily. Cost of money meaning how much they're paying on the money that they're borrowing, whether it's from investors, from the bank that can make or break the deal.
Wait, I'm sorry, repeat that.
It's the cost of money that they're. So if you're borrowing money from the bank, a loan to build your development site.
Okay, I'm borrowing 100 million from you.
Okay,
You're the bank.
I'm the bank, and I'm going to charge you 7.5% interest.
Okay.
Or 11.5%. Let's be a little bit more realistic. Somewhere in the double digit.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say 11%, whatever. So now the bank is charging you 11%, but now your cost of labor and material is also super expensive. So when you factor in the cost of money plus all the other costs, soft and hard costs, your profit margin is not going to be as healthy, or it could be.
But isn't that where underwriting comes into play? Like you have to like figure out the numbers in the first place?
Yeah, you do. But right now, what we're seeing is a lot of these developers who were able to borrow 2 and 3% or even 4% pre-COVID or in the beginning of COVID, now their term is coming up to an end and they need more money, they need more capital to inject. That same project that was able to afford 2, 3, or 4% can no longer afford that 11.5%.
Oh.
So you're in trouble. And again, that goes back to our earlier conversation about the loan modification. So your cost of money is super important when you're building any type of real estate.
So like negotiating skills is really important?
Understanding the cost of money, really. So when you're underwriting,
I'll be honest, I still don't fully understand what you mean by that.
yeah, how like what you're paying, your interest essentially.
No, like I get that, but like how does that like I don't understand how to like do the math on that to make sure I'm having a good cost of money on a regular basis.
Yeah. So when you're underwriting a deal, you're always going to put in whatever all of your costs are. And then you're going to say, okay, my senior debt is going to be, I don't know, 11%, and then so on and so forth. You got to work up the capital stack. So you got to say, okay, my limited partners are getting X. And then I'm going to bring in loan 1. I'm going to be paying X amount. And then loan 2, I'm paying Y amount. I might be complicating it, but essentially how much you're paying on the money you're borrowing to build something.
I think I get it. I think the hard part is doing it on a day-to-day basis and like a project by project basis and making sure that, I mean, it's essentially like basic, like like you just need to make sure that you're like, it's like, it reminds me of like a balance sheet and a P&L kind of
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Just
exactly.
making sure like everything is balanced.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So, I mean, if I really wanted to start and I want to start as quick as possible, what you said was I need to find someone that's already been doing it. That's cool with co-signing me and, you know, just letting me do it. And then from there, I can now leverage that into doing it myself. Right.
Correct.
And then once I do it myself, I just have to hope that I understand cost of money, because if I don't, I'm
Yeah.
screwed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cost of money and cost of everything. Really, it comes down to the cost. So one deal may make sense to one person, but not to the other person.
Yeah, and what is the determining factor? Like, what is it? Like, you have someone in your network that can actually like get you lumber for like a fraction of the cost, and so like it makes sense for you to take that deal.
That could be a possibility.
You know what
Or
I mean?
a possibility can also be, what's our expected outcome? So you're expecting a specific rate of return. The other person doesn't really care about a rate of return. They care about preserving the capital. So to that person, a more expensive deal may be worth it for them. To someone else who's a little bit hungry and actually wants to make a profit and pay off investors, will have to pass on that deal.
And if they're preserving it, it's most likely their capital. They're not. They
Most likely, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So it just depends on what you want, and
Yeah.
then what is the team you need to do? Like what are the team members that you need?
You definitely need a visionary.
What does that mean?
Someone who has the
Designer?
vision. What?
Like a designer
No, someone who sees the full vision
of what the
of
building?
whatever you're trying to build.
So I want to build
like
a
the
hospital.
company. Oh, you talking about like the
No,
team?
what are you?
to-
I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about like to build that company, that structure that I explained earlier. You need someone that really sees the vision. Like,
Oh, like the CEO.
Yeah.
Like you are the visionary
Yes,
for this company.
right.
Okay. Got it.
because like without me seeing the vision, it's almost impossible to be able to execute anything.
Yeah.
So that's needed. So you need someone to see the bigger picture, the overall picture, and then you definitely need someone who is able to help you execute that. So usually they say the visionaries are not good executors.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's why I
like-
got my wife in here.
Yeah. There you go. And it's vice versa. The executors might not necessarily be good visionaries.
Are you a visionary or an executor?
I'd like to say I'm a visionary.
Who is your executor? Or they haven't been found yet.
Have not been found yet, but I have a few in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But up until I get to that point, I wear multiple hats
What is the determining factor of that point?
to be able to bring someone full-time on board,
Got it. Okay.
like in terms of financial
Yeah.
compensation.
What is
Because I
that,
do
like,
need help.
What is that, like 6 figures?
To bring someone on board.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, no, not necessarily.
Really?
If you bring someone and you're able to share that vision with another person, they will go to town with you. I know there's a lot of companies out there that started the same way.
And then do you split like shares of that company with them, or is it only
It's
salary?
negotiable. You can pay them. Maybe it could be a compensation of a dual plan, meaning, hey, I'll pay you some type of fixed income, but also help me build this. And then as I'm building, you're getting some type of revenue share. So the more money I make, the more money you make. So
that way
they're
they feel like-
incentivized.
yeah.
They feel like, hey, I'm part ownership as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you need a visionary, you need an executor, and then you definitely need someone who's able to help you with the operations. And that executor doesn't necessarily need to be the operational person.
What's the difference?
Executor just needs to get stuff done, regardless of what it is. They may not be that person. They need to go
So a
out there
jack
and
of all
find
trades?
someone to do it. No,
Oh,
someone,
like a producer. So like
Yeah.
in my industry, it would be the producer.
yeah.
Okay.
And then someone who's in operations, they need to make sure that the visionary and the executor are on the same page.
So it's fair
often-
to say the executor will find the operator because
Yes.
they have to find everyone.
Yes. Think of the operator, and this is going to sound really bad because it's completely different, but the HR, like the human resource person in the company, they find the talent. The
Wouldn't that be
operation,
the executor is finding the talent?
at first, maybe until they find that one person, and that's it. Because that one person, when the operational person comes on board, they want to make sure all the visions are aligned, what you're doing and the executor is doing are aligned, and they're on the same path.
And that's the operator's job.
Yes.
Okay, so let me understand. So visionary starts it off. Executor now finds the operator. Once the operator's found, they're in charge of talent, and then they're also in charge of the operations, obviously.
Yes.
Now, what becomes of the role of the executor?
So I also want to comment on one thing. The executioner or the person who's executing sounded really bad.
Executor, the
The
executor.
executor. The executor doesn't necessarily need to find the operational person.
They don't.
No.
So what do they do?
I would say the visionary person does, because then they're able to have a better sense of this person is going to be able to help us be aligned or not.
Because you know what you want as a visionary.
Yes.
That makes okay.
Yeah.
So then what does the executor do?
Goes out there and implement anything. They're the person that says, yes, I'll get it done. Don't ask me the
Can
how.
you give me an example?
Yeah. So let's say in an organizational structure.
Okay.
Okay. You have the CEO, and then you have the COO, which is the chief operating
Operations.
officer, and then you have senior executives.
Okay.
Okay. So that senior executive would essentially work with their managers and the VPs and the first VP or whatever, and it trickles down. So that senior executive is the executor. And then you have they're working with all the subs, they're working with all the entire team. And then the chief operating officer, that's your operational person. That's making sure that that executor is aligned with everyone else below them. And also they're on the same page as you as a visionary.
Okay, so the way I understood that is the executor is essentially the manager of all managers.
Yes.
Okay. And then sourcing is making sure that the executor's managing style aligns with the visionary's vision.
Correct.
Huh.
I don't know why I made it sound so complicated.
I have to talk to myself like I'm a 3-year-old for me to understand things.
I do that
It's how
sometimes.
I've always been. Okay, so manager of managers. And then those are the only 3 people you need to take over the world.
Yeah. At least for now. That's what I think.
I like that. Because I mean that was one of my biggest struggles, right? Like I'm at fault for it, but I can be so caught up in the vision that I forget about reality sometimes, and then sometimes I'll realize there wasn't an operation in place, there was no SOPs.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned about SOPs, game changer, right? Like holy moly,
It's night and day difference.
dude. Yeah, man.
And I hate doing things by myself.
Yeah,
Like that's one of my biggest weaknesses.
really.
Like I've always had a partner in any venture that I've done. And that's because I don't know if I want the support, or I want someone to keep me grounded, or I want someone to help me execute, or someone that helps me be organized, like the operational person, or I don't know what it is, but and that's why I want to bring someone on board almost ASAP, because I need help. And I feel like in order for you to scale, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
And you need people that are better than you, smarter than you, and to be on the same page as you. So that I don't know what it is. I just hate doing things alone. Hate it. Like this whole realtor journey. Like even when I first learned that there are different types. When you join a brokerage, you can either be a solo agent or be on a team.
Yeah.
Without hesitation, without even knowing any of the splits or learning about any of the compensation strategy, I was like, on a team. Get me on a team. Like I like doing things like with other people. And I feel like that's how you really grow. If you're just like single-minded and you're on your own. And there are some solo agents killing the game more than team agents. So don't get me one is better than the other. It's just, it depends. It's a personality thing.
Yeah, and not only that, but like I also think so. Like for example, for me, like I like the team. Like I like working with the team until I feel like I can do it on my own, and then I'll do it on my own, and then I'll have to find a new team to get to the next level.
Okay,
You
that's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
way.
So yeah,
That's really good actually.
Yeah.
That's smart. I like that.
yeah. So like that's what I've done. It's like okay, cool. I've gotten everything, because if I become the smartest person in the room, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I need to find a new room. And it's like, dude, like thank you so much. You've taught me everything I know. Like, and I am truly forever like grateful. But it's time for me to like focus on doing this myself now, because if you want to go. Dude, I've been saying this to everybody, but it's like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with company.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I want to go far because I don't know anything. And then I got far. It's like, okay, cool. Now I need to go fast, go by myself. And it's like, okay, now I'm in the middle of nowhere. Let me get a group again and like kind of just like have a compound. So I think I'm the visionary for sure. I have the operator as my wife. We're just missing an execution,
Yeah.
an executor,
Executor,
an
yeah.
executor. That's the one we're missing. That's cool though. So yeah, I need a manager of managers. That makes sense. That's what I need.
Yeah. And I feel like that person, and I learned that through owning that store, that burger joint that I was talking about. When I thought I was able to do everything, I got burned out. I was
Yeah,
like, I need
dude.
help. Even though I had a partner, I'm like, we need help. Like, I need someone to be able to assign everything that we want to do and just follow up with that one individual. And that one individual will have many people underneath them to be able to manage all the other tasks that we're throwing at that one person.
Yeah.
And
And
then
it allows you
worked
the
out
time to be the visionary.
exactly. And then I heard this once and it's been ingrained in my head. I was like, I want to make sure I don't want to butcher this, but if you work, you have two options: either work in your business or on your business.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like more often than not, people usually work in the business thinking that they want to grow it. And in order for me to grow, I need to work in the business. But I feel like the real success comes from when you're working on your business.
Yes.
When you have your executor, when you have the operational person, when you have all these managers and the right systems and the processes, if they're all in place, then it allows you the chance to have the time to work on your business. How do I scale it? How do I take it to the next step? So I want to learn how to work on the business as opposed to in the business.
And it's tough, especially when you're alone. Like it was so hard for me. That's why I started pulling people left and right. We kind of like, it was just like sticking stuff to the wall and seeing what stuck. And it's like, okay, something's starting to like build here. We're working on it. And like, sure enough, through time and patience and consistency, something grows out of it. And I think that's the beautiful thing. Like, dude, I can't work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I tried. I did 10 years in the restaurant industry. Loved it. Loved it. It was a crazy lifestyle because it was in the city too. So it was like crazy lifestyle. But never again.
What did you learn from that?
So much. Dude, I learned how to be a server, how to service people, how to that was the biggest thing, right? I learned teamwork, right? I learned delegation. I learned how to take orders from people, like not from clients, customers, but like from like management. But the biggest thing is, how can I best serve someone? And one of the things that I learned sales, right? Because at the end of the day, I remember one just this memory stuck with me for so long, and it was wine. We had to sell this box of wine, and they were talking about it, and like they held like a contest or something, and I was like, who can sell the most of this wine, because we have like 3 boxes of it and we need to get rid of it. And we're like, okay, cool. And the manager was like, look, like, read the back of the wine bottle. And I read it, and it was like, oh, my grandpa made this wine, and he used his bare feet to squish the grapes, and he was in this little village, and he wasn't a straight A student, but he tried his best, and he has his vineyard, and he has his wife, and his wife helps him. He has 3 little kids, and it built a story around the wine, right? And so then when I would go to my clients, I would be like, hey, do you want this wine, or do you want this wine that was homegrown, made with 3 kids? This guy, squished the grapes himself. They're like, oh, I want that one. Because there was an emotional connection that they were able to build with that wine.
That is a definition of art of selling.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Just
by creative storytelling.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And now I tie that into what I do. And because what I do, dude, all content creation is on social media is storytelling. Like, that's all it is. And it's, how can we better tell our story to serve other people? Because I came into this thinking, I came into it, and I hate to say it, but I came into this very selfish, right? I was like, I'm posting once a day, every day for months straight, and nobody's giving me money. You know what I mean? It was very selfish. And it just didn't click until like one day I was like, you know what? Like, forget all the noise, forget all the nonsense. I'm gonna make what I want to hear. Like, be the change you want to be. I started making content for me, like things that I wanted to hear, things that I've learned, things that I've went through that can, hey, if it helps you, awesome. I love that. And if it doesn't, that's cool. Maybe you'll find someone else that can help you, right? And that's really it. Is like, I want, so like, one thing with me is I'm a perfectionist, and so I'm in a service industry, and I will forever be in a service industry. I want to give you the best service, and I want to continuously improve on the service that I'm giving you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I think, I guess, dude, this is weird. So like, cause like I talked to my wife and I was like, unique value proposition. I hate the word. I hate that word. You know what I mean? But it's weird. Like talking to you, I think that's really what like my unique value proposition is. Because like, how do you set yourself apart? Well, like I want to be the best server of you, but not just that. I want to continuously improve on that. You know?
Yeah. It's a skill set. It's a skill set that will forever will need to be sharpened.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it's hard. To put others before you is hard, and like in a real way. You know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but like I have a wife and 2 kids, and so like they go above me every day. You know, I'm making sure my babies are fed, making sure my wife is loved. I'm making sure I have to put God in there. God is first, right? And it's like I have to put all these things before me, and it's tiring. You know, sometimes it's very hard, but at the end of the day, it's so fulfilling. I can go to sleep with like, I don't know what the word is, but like just a good attitude for myself, like good, like I don't know what the word is, but like grateful.
Accomplishment, satisfaction.
Like more than that, like your virtues and like your, like I know I can go to sleep at night knowing my morals are in the right place. Like I can go to sleep at night knowing that like I did the right thing because I didn't put myself first. And like I think that, yeah, I don't know. I think that's cool. I think that's pretty cool.
I think so too.
But yeah, dude, this is awesome. Thank you so much for like coming today, dude. Honestly, this is great.
Thank you for having me. I know it's late. I know it's way past whatever time you need to be here.
No,
thanks for making the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny. I was like, dude, I know George is coming. I don't really know what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
but
me too. I have a wife, no kids. Okay, but I have a wife. And then I'm like, I'm coming over here. I'm like, hey, like, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I thought he was going to send me like a list of topics so I can better prepare myself. And then we were talking, we're like, you know what? That's the whole point of a podcast. It has to be like natural.
Yeah.
You can't go to a podcast prepared, especially if you're trying to get to know the person or you're trying to make like real organic content. It has to come out from the heart.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me.
No, yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming. So, I mean, I guess we can wrap up. But do you have anything coming up? Any events? Anything with your team that you want to just like plug? You know, let the people know or how they can find you.
Yeah, find me on social media. I know there's 1,000,001 other realtors out there. I just would like to take the time and sit with you and explain to you how the market is performing right now, from not just from the real estate side, but also the financial aspect. And then whether you work with me or not, I feel like I owe that service to the community and the people that I'm working with. And then stay tuned. I have a lot of things, coming up in the pipeline, events, parties, and networking stuff. But give me some time and then it'll be out there. But follow me on social media, George Mikhael, NJ Realtor.
Cut. Dude, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.